Hello, welcome to Ed Media. Today, I want to talk about the recent episodes of BFDIA. By recent I mean like I'd say since the episode count reached 20. So this means I'll be talking about episodes 21 to the most recent episode. But this isn't a review of these episodes, rather I wanna analyze a specific detail in these episodes, their runtime. I've noticed that recent episodes from BFDI have had longer runtimes. Teapot has because things are getting more climactic and cinematic, but why is BFDIA having a longer runtime and how does this impact the episodes themselves along with the effect on the season itself? Well, I want to talk about that, so let's get started. So I want to talk about each episode as I mentioned after episode 20 because that's what I believe is not what started the longer runtime trend, but rather set up the idea. Longer runtime episodes were never unheard of for this season since episode 14 had a longer runtime, but that was because of the meetup episode. I believe episodes 19 and 20 set up the idea due to both episodes containing the same challenge. Both these episodes contained the same challenge of collecting items and distributing it, but it was cut into two parts. So this was a pretty long challenge and had a big climax. These episodes also greatly focused on the final 5 of the season, which is who we focused on in the next couple of episodes along with the return of Leafy. These two episodes basically set up the final part of the season. I mentioned these details because they're important in dissecting the next episodes that have the long duration, so let's get started. Now this episode wasn't long, rather it was decent runtime with 22 minutes. However, for a non-competition episode it sure did have a higher than average duration. The previous non-competition episode was only 17 minutes while the first one in Teapot was only 20. This episode really did reach the more average episode runtime because it set up the rest of the season really. We got a resolution to the overarching Pin and Coiny story. We also get to see Leafy return not in secret along with the confirmation of her hosting. Really the whole episode was chill. The calm before the storm. We see Book, Tennis Ball, and Needle focusing on each other and their relationships while watching the cake at stake for who will be hosting, which in hindsight really showed that they were meant to be the final 3, while we see Pin and Coiny reflect on their last choices as Pin hangs out with Leafy while Coiny reflects and it culminates into their resolution. And of course we get confirmation of Leafy hosting, but we also get to see Leafy's final straw in a way for her sanity as Fire-E acts like he doesn't know Leafy when he's recovered, so this messes up Leafy's view on everything. So now let's get into the final phase of the competition and analyze how these episodes become more longer and climactic. This was the first episode in the longer format BFDIA has been taking and was also the next meetup episode for this season, so it was obvious we'd have a longer runtime than the previous episodes. This episode was 40 minutes, which is the standard runtime seen in Teapot. Everything set up in BFDIA 21 was paid off here with Leafy hosting, Pin and Coiny resolution, and the dynamic between Book, Tennis Ball, and Needle. Pin was eliminated, which led to her having a subplot about her thinking she's the main character. The challenge was to conquer the most amount of land with Leafy, which meant to take Leafy to a location, and if she enjoyed it, she considered it the land of whoever took her there with a flag, and whoever had the most flags won the challenge. Now this doesn't seem like a super epic challenge like the last longer episode did. It started off as a fun challenge. That doesn't mean the episode wastes time. We revisit a lot of locations from this past season and also in future seasons, so in a way, it's like an across the earth adventure, I guess. And the final 4 are more competitive than ever. The subplot is Pin trying to end the game or something because she believes she's the main character, while there's also another plot with a grand character returning, who is Woody, who chronologically hasn't appeared since season 1. While during the middle of the challenge it does feel like the episode goes in for too long, that's when the plot really kicks off, which is revealed that Leafy has an unlimited amount of flags, so that way this challenge can go on forever. So Book and Tennis Ball try ending the challenge while Needle and Coiny continue. When Leafy finds out, she decides to have the last remaining flag be worth more points, so it's between Coiny, Needle, and Tennis Ball. However, what's been building up is the flags that Leafy is planting is causing cracks to form on Earth, which Woody only noticed due to him filling a gap in a bridge. The cracks accumulate and eventually cause Earth to split open. Since everywhere on Earth has been claimed, the Earth's core is the only place left. The Pin subplot leads to Pin rescuing Woody from falling and sacrificing herself and remains in the lava. So Coiny and Needle race to the Earth's core, but Needle manages to fret Coiny away, where he finds Pin in the lava. While Needle is now in the core, Tennis Ball, who must abide by Needle's orders, cannot go down the hole. So Tennis Ball decides to use Pin's drill to at least sabotage her. Book goes in to save Needle from getting hit, but once she arrives, she's hit along with Leafy. So both are dead and Needle is unable to get the last flag, leaving Tennis Ball immune. So while I think there were instances where the episode had filled moments to make a longer runtime, the turning point of the challenge ended up feeling healthy due to the natural pacing. So while the first half did drag on in the end, the second half with the turning point once the challenge I'd say was well paced. This episode was the first theater release for this season, so this confirmed that the episodes here on out would be really long. This episode was advertised as the final challenge in the game and would be the biggest episode yet. And that was correct because this episode ended up being an hour. Which is still insane to me to this day, no episode has yet to reach an hour. And the long run time made this episode feel so cinematic. This also led to the episode having a really cool title card symbolizing the final challenge with the final four, which only appeared for the theater releases of episodes. This title screen was honestly a really good one as it emphasized the final four having to face the eliminated contestants. We had the longest challenge yet, where Woody ended up stealing the island with his new mech suit and becomes a villain for this episode. He forms a glass road to halt the WTFers for a moment, so it's up to the contestants to travel the glass road to reach Woody and step foot in Dream Island. Along the way however, every eliminated contestant was able to insert their challenge that could be completed. So this was the standard BFDIA last contest where the last contest is to complete all the challenges this season. What set this episode apart from the standard is that all the previous challenges instead are optional now, and can be completed for a reward to advance in the glass road. You will meet all the challenges but you don't have to complete them because after all the challenges, you find your way to Woody. This episode still focused on the final four despite Coiny being eliminated, because while the final three of Book, Tennis Ball, and Needle completed the challenge, we had a subplot of Coiny stuck in the lava with Pin's corpse. He remained there so he could stick with Pin and looked after her body. This episode also had everyone recover and reunite, such as all the Season 1 veterans and the LOLers. This even led to everyone hosting. The challenge itself was super fun to see. And while it did feel long, that's a natural feeling since the episode is literally an hour long. There wasn't many moments of the episode dragging itself out other than a couple of gags. It was a great trip down memory lane meeting all the previous competitors and the challenges. This episode also succeeded as the Around the World contest since we got to see so many locations along the way, which some of these look super cool and beautiful. Along the way, all competitors had some sort of resolution to their character arc, such as Needle understanding that it's okay to ask for help from others even if you play for yourself, Tennis Ball not needing to follow Golf Ball's view of his villain side if he believed it was right, and Book wanting to help others because she doesn't want to become a villain no matter if she wins or not, because she has honor and dignity. The final moments was where the episode really shined. All the previous challenges were completed so all that was left of the glass road was to defeat Woody and step foot on Dream Island. The final 10 minutes was where we had the showdown between all the contestants reaching Woody and trying to set foot on Dream Island. Coiny made his way to the competitors and had revenge for Book, which caused the glass road to shatter. In the final moments of the challenge, Book was injured while Needle and Tennis Ball made one final run for the island. However, Book ended up winning her first challenge in the immunity phase which led to Needle and Tennis Ball up for elimination. And we reached the recent episode of the season, the penultimate episode. Since this episode did not have a theater release, I assumed that the episode would be a short one, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that this era of long-form BFDIA continued as this episode was also 40 minutes. Now, I still think this episode should have been a theater release because it really had the potential to be one. The whole plot of the episode was BFDIA being cancelled due to no one wanting to continue hosting, so it was up to the final three to bring back the competition in order to see who are the finalists for this season. So the advertising for the episode could have focused on the show being cancelled and it having to be revived. But then again, this episode was the one that really suffered from the long runtime. While I think the long runtime was done well for other episodes, this one kinda suffered from it. The first act was great as it was a setup for the plot of this episode as everyone had saw that no one wanted to host. The part where each contestant must do their part really dragged. It was cool to see each contestant do their part, where Book had to tally up the votes, Needle had to make the cake, and Tennis Ball and to get the cake at stake area. But, the episode ended up really dragging out, especially on Book's part. Where she just faced so much wasting screen time, such as the sludge fight, and the way to the star. Needle and Tennis Balls also dragged, with Needle having to reunite all contestants in one area and Tennis Ball being stuck in the recovery center. However, the third act was genuinely peak. What was building up was the big yeast cake being made that was super dangerous. We had all contestants reunite to save everyone from a giant yeast cake. Tennis Ball had to use his ceremony area to carry the yeast cake away, while Needle had to fight Evil Leafy in order to retrieve her cake, and Book had to make her way to the twin blue stars to get the votes. We get the best animation of the series where Book travels through space to reach the stars until we meet Jack, who explains how the votes are retrieved and gives Books the results. Everyone has successfully done their part, so the final three reunite to commence the final cake at stake. The whole episode has been leading up to this, and the results show Needle wins the prize and Tennis Ball gets eliminated. So the episode ends with the voting screen for the finalists, Book and Needle. However, the episode actually ends with it being revealed to Bubble and Flower that Leafy stole Dream Island, so everyone turns on her again, and the episode ends with her reverting to Evil Leafy. So now that we went over the recent episodes with the longer runtimes, it's time we begin analyzing the impacts that the long episode runtimes have. So each episode has exceeded average runtimes and now aim for at least 40 minutes as shown in every episode since episode 22. Now, with the longer runtimes, how does this impact the episodes? What would have been taken away if the episodes were of usual runtime at around 20 to 30 minutes? One thing I see a common thing amongst these episodes is that they take a large focus on the final 5, even after Pin is eliminated. Now, this season is far from story-centered. Teapot definitely is, but BFDIA is not. There is no overarching story. So, how would these longer runtimes be justified in the episodes? Well, that's the thing. Since every episode since 21 focused on the final 5 due to 19 and 20 setting that up, it's clear to see that these longer episodes focus on character interactions, character development, and character arc. While there aren't story arcs like in Teapot, instead, each character has an arc of some sort. Both Coiny and Pin had arcs that connected to each other, but the final 3 each had their own distinct arcs that these episodes had. Not only did the final 5 get focus, so did Leafy, a character whose presence was being built up to be some sort of villain. And in these episodes we get a huge focus on her. While episode 22 doesn't focus on character development or arcs, it does show how Leafy's character impacts the game, as her more villainous side impacts the characters. Episode 23 was able to focus on the dynamic of the final 3 as well, and each had their development wrapped up here. Or at least satisfying. Each character had their own moment here. And it was built up over the course of the episode. While episode 24, I find the part where the final 3 together to be the most interesting parts, which thankfully a good chunk of it does. But character development isn't the only reason these episodes are long, rather since we're in the final stage of the game, the climaxes are gonna get bigger. The climaxes in these episodes have been insane and the best moments in this season. We had the center of the Earth's core fight in 22, the whole last minutes of 23 was so fucking good, like we had the fight to step foot on the island and the glass road shattering during the scramble for the island. And 24 had Book traveling the universe to some unknown universal territory. So each episode benefited from its longer runtime with character development and the peak climaxes. Now that we've discussed how these long runtimes have impacted the episodes, how does this impact the season? BFDIA is a relatively low-stakes season compared to other seasons, so how could these long episodes impact the season? Well, honestly, I think the longer episodes are helping set BFDIA as one of the most chaotic and bizarre seasons we've ever had. All we're competing for is the farm island or whatever, and the shit the contestants do and go through are genuinely entertaining and crazy as hell. We have the core of the Earth being exposed, the crazy fight at the end of episode 23, and Book having to travel through space and time just to get the votes. These longer runtimes for these episodes are allowing the episodes to do whatever it wants and allows for an action-packed experience. It accomplishes the goal of this season, to be the most chaotic and bizarre season of all time, the most craziest and fun season ever while maintaining an evolution of the old spirit of BFDI. The current state of BFDI right now is to deliver longer episodes and just more than the usual. Teapot now focuses on a story with more cinematic scenes while BFDIA achieves these cinematic feels with challenges that are able to offer more than the usual. And the climaxes end up being so bizarre and climactic that TU end up looking cinematic. This was set up with the Coiny and Pin elimination climax in episode 20. And after episode 21, these climaxes have been able to surpass the climax since 20. So really, the way these longer runtimes impact the season itself is by making this season become the most chaotic and thrilling season ever, with huge challenges that culminate into a cataclysmic climax, making this season the best and energetic one of all. All I wanted to accomplish with this video was to take a more deeper look into the shift of the BFDIA season. This shift started when episodes had a longer runtime, and the shift itself means to more chaos and more dramatic scenes caused by the challenge rather than a story moment. And it's all for fun too. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe por favor. Goodbye.